He may have been cleared of any wrongdoing, but New Zealand cyclist Jack Bauer says Chris Froome should not ride the Tour de France as his participation takes the shine away from the sport's showpiece event. Despite being cleared of a doping violation by the Union Cycliste Internationale (UCI), the defending champion has received a hostile reception in France, with boos and taunts greeting Team Sky's leader at the team's official presentation. But even though he labelled him as the rider to beat again this year, Bauer said he would not compete if he was in Froome's shoes, and that any backlash he receives from the public is simply his own doing. If he's at the race, then he's asking for it, said Bauer, ahead of the Tour, which begins on Saturday night. NZT. Hostile reception for Froome *. We want the public there to support, to cheer and to motivate. But the public is a pretty honest jury, and what you get is generally what you've asked for, or something along those lines. Froome has been competing under the cloud of a possible ban after a urine sample showed a concentration of the asthma drug salbutamol that was twice the permitted level at last year's Vuelta a España. But despite the UCI issuing a statement that the Froome sample results do not constitute an AAF adverse analytical finding earlier this week, allowing him to pursue a record-equaling fifth title, Bauer said the British rider is not showing his fellow competitors the respect they deserve by entering the Tour. When you look at it in the finer details, he's legally allowed to be there, but there are many things that you are legally allowed to do, and you can take the righteous high point. But in moments like that, there has to be some judgment and respect for your fellow competitors and the sport in general, and I don't think that's been respected at all. He said he didn't break any rules. We have the law on our side and the lawyers on our side. We have stacks and stacks of paper. We can bury whatever inside it, and I'm allowed to be here, so here I am. But while he can do that, I would hope that in his position I would not have done that. It's just led to the situation we have now, where I don't think he's seen in the same light as he was in prior to this announcement of this adverse analytical finding. Bauer also had an issue with the timing of Froome's clearance, which came just one day after Le Monde reported that Tour organizers ASO had informed Team Sky that they would forbid him from competing until the doping case had been decided. It is good to get it cleared up, but the nature of the timeline and the nature of how quickly it has been cleared up leaves a lot of question marks for the general public and for us as riders. Bauer said, I'm no expert on the subject, but I would say it's a bit disappointing that someone of his standing and position in the sport apparently has that kind of ability to maybe not pressure or sway a decision, but obviously, the decision was made after a big statement from ASO regarding his participation in the Tour, which quelled overnight with the decision released the next day. That doesn't look good from anybody's perspective, and it's not just the Froome saga which has overshadowed the start of the Tour. Bauer said France's ongoing participation at the FIFA World Cup had taken some of the spotlight away from the race, not that he was complaining about that. Bauer watched France's 2-0 win over Uruguay from the team hotel and said the football gave the riders a chance to take their mind off cycling ahead of a hectic 3 weeks of racing. For us as riders, it's been great to have something to chat about and to watch in the evenings over the past few weeks in training and at training camps. It's been good to turn the attention to the football and to keep the nerves and the stress of preparing for this race low, after being a vital cog in the lead-out train for sprinter Marcel Kittel at Quick-Step Floors last year. Bauer was expected to assume a similar role for Caleb Ewan at Mitchelton Scott. However, the team decided to go all in on Adam Yates' general classification bid instead, and there was no room for a sprinter, so Ewan missed the cut. Bauer said it will be his job to keep Yates out of trouble and to make sure he does not lose any time on the sprint stages. He will also be a key figure in the team time trial on Stage 3, a stage Mitchelton Scott has the potential to win. You've got to be constantly worried about where it is, what he's up to and what's coming up on the road. With the way the stages are set out in the first half of the race, it's going to be super easy to get caught out in terms of wind and splits in the bunch in a tricky finale. It's quite easy for seconds to slip away from you. But if there ever is a chance, we have a solid team here with 5 or 6 really capable, big, strong fellas to maybe turn the screw and put him in a position where he can take time on the rivals. If there is an opportunity, stuff promoted, stories recommended by